Yep.
Okay. Jacques wakes to hard-hurled drops of rain from restless slumber, dreams of strange dislocation, like a foreign tongue. The sense is lost, forgotten, known. She lies with blurry thought, then rises, turns her computer on, sits with the pale glow in her face, resizes files, manipulates sharp shapes and colors, alters text. Works and then paces, not dissatisfied, tries to phone a friend, saves her work, goes back to bed. Hours later, as the dawn creeps slow across the sodden lawn, with book in hand she falls asleep. No nightmares come. Her dreams are like a photo montage of her life, or as in making, taking stock, the scum which is skimmed off the top of consciousness. If someone had been watching then, they would have seen her REM move those sunken heavy lids as her mind's eye envisages. A city dock, with mouldy knots attaching trawlers, speedboats, yachts, precariously to dry land. She clambers down on rocky ground. Fish swim beneath the surface where she peers in. Outside in the alley, small birds cautious sing the change in weather. Flit, flirt, skirting heavy drips. Feather shake. Jack wakes. He pads into the kitchenette. Outside, the day is soaking wet. He blinks, then stretches. Starts to make some coffee. Not that awful fake and instant kind, but real beans. He starts the grinder as he cleans his little silver stovetop pot. Shuffles around until it bubbles. Stands watching as his milk gets hot. Goes waltzing round the microwave. It almost seems he meditates. He had mint or menthol in the mouth. A breeze blows from some distant south, the warmth it may have once contained well whipped out by Atlantic waves. He clears whatever's dry away and decides not to work today. Feels that he can't push himself through the things that he was meant to do. He calls back Jacques. He knows that she doesn't sleep well and possibly sleeps still, but still it's worth a try. It rings out. Then she calls back. Such a stupid cow. You think I would have learnt by now that I shouldn't try answering my phone while I'm cycling. I nearly took a nasty fall. I guess that's why you missed my call. Yeah, I've stopped now though. How are things? You don't mind that I tried to ring last night, do you? I couldn't sleep. I know there's something I'd like you to see. Jack pictures her pocket her phone and cycle on. His feeling of unease is gone. He wedges open the back door and sits, cross-legged, on the floor, with box in hand to think again before he shows it to his friend. He shakes it like a magic 8. No answer. He pokes parcel tape with his thumbnail and rips it. Next, he turns his focus to the text again, still searching for a clue. There's no one there, but he feels sure he heard something. He looks around, and lying, broken, on the ground below the window is a bird that must have made the noise he heard, flying hard into the glass. How sad and sudden. Dead so fast. Animal, or worse. It's face down like it's tried to hide. One wing is crooked out to the side, its tiny feathers, sharp and black, fade into grey across its back, and Jack imagines, underneath, the wrinkles on its tiny feet. His spine hurts from the way he stands. He scoops the bird up in his hands and holds it like a cherished prize, then guiltily goes back inside. Its stomach feels so soft. Its claws scratch at his palms like tiny jaws, a clustering of canine teeth. He feels the smoothness of its beak against the inside of his wrist, shoulders the door closed with a twist, and goes out back to study it. He stands back, closely studying the way that on its open wing the feathers neatly fit in place, thinks sadly of the airy grace it must have had in life and flight, in days of deathless dripping light. The bell rings. Jack is wakened from his reverie. Its tin ding-dong, which always made him slightly cross, seems mocking of the life just lost. He's glad Jack's here. He always feels relaxed with her, and as she wheels her bike awkwardly up the step, he catches himself. Here, Jack, let me do that for you, if you like. She grateful smiles. He takes her bike and leans it on his in the hall, then turns to her. The two bikes fall, a clattering of chain and gears. Fuck! I've been cycling for years and still have not got good at this. He picks them up. They laugh, hug, kiss each other briefly on the face. It's true, Jack, you're a damn disgrace. Still, good to see you, I have to say. There is a sort of silence that precedes good conversation. A shaken mind of muddy waters graduation into neat layers of sediment. Half-formed phrases float freely. Pebbles sink deep. Clear water rises, and we speak. Jacques shifts weight in her chair, says, well, I'll make some coffee. I can tell that this something has wound you up, and I think that we need a cup before we start to talk, okay? Jack nods and says, that would be great. He budges over on the step to let her pass him by, forgets the box is there and knocks it over. Jacques reaches down to rub his shoulder wordlessly. He says her name and leans against the wooden framework of the door, his head hung low. Says, thanks for that. You're great, you know. Jacques gets to work. The way she moves is confident and rhythmic, proves she feels at ease, knows where to get what she needs in this kitchenette. Such a familiar task, the gentle grasp of unscrewing the metal rings, the tapping on the compost bin, the measuring, the gentle bubble of the brew. In her mind's ear it plays a tune, and when the milk is piping hot, she takes the pastries that she got in the small shop along the way and heats them in the microwave. She brings Jack his, he thanks her, and she then sits down with cup in hand. And what happened with the bird? I thought you were the bird. The bird was you, I mean. After we talked, I heard something I thought was you. I went to let you in and found it lying in the street, unmoving as the grey concrete that held it. It died straight away, I guess, flew smack into the window pane. Do you think that it felt pain? Do you think that in its tiny brain, thoughts still flew, though its body stopped? There was no movement when I picked it up. Inside it now, do you think the rot has started and... Or maybe, on the other hand, life lives inside it still? As it lies on that windowsill, do enzymes act inside of it as if nothing has gone amiss? Digestive juices breaking down a berry or a worm it found, converting them into a state they can be used in? What a waste. While Jack talks, Jacques walks to the bird. She pokes with painted fingernail gingerly, then tugs its tail. It stretches unrealistically, seems suddenly grotesque or sickly. She pushes back its body quickly. Then, takes the bird into her hands, grasps wingtips and fingertips and stretches it against the sky. Its head hangs as though crucified. Jack watches her, and through her thin and pale, almost translucent skin, sees muscles shift uncalled upon, a gentle tremor through the thumb. Then, widened eyes, a glee surprise that feigned nonchalance can't disguise. She lowers arms and closes wings, her movements measured, careful, slow. Two friends eat, make small talk, drink, watch the birds, absent-mindedly half think, pick up conversation stitches that they dropped along the way or missed. They banter back and forth. Not much is said of much import, but when they've both laid down their forks, Jack says, I feel like the protagonist in a B-rate thriller saying this, but what do you think is the best course of action to take with the corpse once we've gathered evidence? I guess that we should bury it, but... He glances round the cluttered yard. Obviously here that would be pretty hard. Any ideas? The friends plan out their course. A funeral procession of sorts. Then, Jack disappears inside. Comes back with a camera and a pair of pliers, a sheet of paper and a pen, writes the code out neatly, then lays the bird down on the sheet, separates its little feet, and photographs it, front and back. In fact, how will we dig it? Have you got a trowel or some sort of small garden fork? Jack stops in his tracks. I never thought of that. He glances round the yard, squints eyes, knits eyebrows, thinking hard. Says, would a wooden spatula suffice? A ladle? A palette knife? A chisel? I guess it wouldn't be the worst idea to choose somewhere the earth's already being dug over, and we might just manage with our hands, but maybe just to save our skin, we'll bring the ladle? What do you think? The roof tiles sloping as though melted, slatted shutters roughly mended, ivy-deformed structures and a pale dead tree, sparrows and pigeons in the pushing of the breeze, the only signs of life that our friends see. Two men jog by. Disturbed, our friends turn, withdraw back nearer to the bikes, where a map marks out where you can walk around and shows what's in and where's out of bounds, all drawn out in neat, straight lines, inorganic plant designs, right angles and careful curves, untouched by the natural world, except for where the perspex cracked and damp has seeped into the map, and algal colonies appear, beside the bright words, you are here. Our friends walk to the rosebeds, so bare and pruned this time of year, enticing names sprout up to capture, promises in nomenclature. New dawn, pink sunblaze, old pink moss, champagne cocktail, gentle touch, Paul's Himalayan rambler, shocking blue, canary bird, goldfinch, mischief, yesterday, sweet dreams, Jacqueline Dupre. A story's there, in shrub and dwarf and rambler, of gatherers, grafters, genetic gamblers, and in the reason for the words or name they chose to give to their specific rows, repainting walls, regenerating, allocating space, and now there is a creche here, bright and singular cafes, beauticians sitting, tinting and extending hair and nails, second-hand bookshops, a menagerie of junk and jumble sales, mirrors, cups, lamps, battered milking stools and pails, adverts for now obsolete tobacco brands and ales. And that's just what's along the road. Inside are labyrinthine rows of muddled signs and jumbled stalls breaking up the lofty hall. And though the pigeons haven't left, the market is alive again. And despite the rapid rate of change throughout the marketplace, new stalls filling empty space, the leather trader keeps the pace. Here between the bridges, barware developers have jammed in awkward offices, red brick houses stand, all porticos and porches, their doorways neatly fanned as though they could be anywhere, brought straight from Amsterdam as flat pack architecture, modular plans laid down and then assembled or inflated, or like a floodwater abated and deposited them here along the banks of the canal, graded by the water, silt-like, streamed, alluvial. Here a trendy boys put seats and tables on the grass, and a stream of 9-to-5ers are filling them up fast. Grey or black or navy, suit jackets and shirts, pinstripe linings, pleated trousers, brogues and knee-length skirts, tights or ties, all loosened tongues, gossip words of work, of damages and deals done, bonuses and perks. Our friends slip neatly through the ranks, continuing their journey along the bumpy banks without discussion till they come to the last of the locks, where the calm of the canal gives way to chaos of the docks. They cross its slicky blackened beams. To their left, between the city and the sea, passengers and produce are pushed around hurriedly. Trucks and trailers tow what horses used to pull, and cranes cluster around containers, as though hungry, animal. Before they reach this frenzy, our friends leave the canal, travel the length of the port security fence, strung along with signs of fines, punishments and threats, warnings and strange images, symbols that don't make sense. To the right, the city straightens in the heavy setting sun, glittering till grey blends with the mountains far beyond. And as Jack and Jacques pass the port, the street lights here turn on. I flew above that city again with the setting sun. Saw it happen twice as we rose above it, rosy, and the street lights mapped out consolations below. Down there my friends are sleeping. Fogged up windows and the dual carriageway across the green belt. Speedy walk in rainy gusts. Then, the briefest jingling of keys. Drops on step and inside doors. Short happy exchanges with families and good nights. Unshoe, strip, slip between sheets, and sleep. That's it.